Say hello, Bender. Say hello, Bender. Hello. There's Bender. Hello everyone, Cesar here. I'm sorry I could not upload the video during the past weekend because we had a catastrophic failure in our helix floor. A catastrophic failure that I have been able to fix up to 80%. The problem is the USB connection. So, well, I mean, the helix works, but doesn't synchronize at all with the computer anymore, and it's gonna be very difficult to change the USB connection for several reasons. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that this here is my Yamaha silent guitar, the SLG 130 NW, which is a model that does not exist anymore. Now the models are the 200, right? And it's a 14-year-old guitar, and it's a guitar that has given me a lot of practice hours, a lot of gigs. Well, I mean, you will see that is really very much loved, right? Well, what's the point? The point is that during the last couple of years I have not played this guitar practically at all for several reasons, right? But now that we have moved to a smaller place and I will need to probably practice with less volume, it is the ideal solution, so we are gonna take her back to our arsenal. The people who follow my channel have seen me playing this guitar a lot. I have also played this guitar a lot in gigs, basically the brunch mornings in hotels where you are doing finger picking, and well, I mean, for that purposes it's a great guitar, right? So we are gonna go through it, we are gonna clean it because it's really very filthy. It has been hanging on a wall for a couple of years. We are going to recover her and you are gonna listen to the guitar at the end of the video. So let's go with it. So as you see, the guitar has been really played, right? It's 14 years, guys. Yeah, it's true, during the last couple of years I have not paid a lot of attention to this guitar, but you can see the fretboard is really having a lot of marks. But it's a fantastic piece of gear if what you want to do is practice, right? And if what you want to do is practice in a quiet way classical guitar, right? This is the NW model. You will find now that the silent guitars are SLG 200, and you can find them in steel strings, I have one, and in nylon, which is this one, right? And in nylon there are two options, the SLG 200N and the SLG 200NW would be the equivalent of this but with better electronics. You will hear that this is a pure piezo thing, right? A pure piezo sound, whilst the new one has this system that basically kind of sounds more like a classical guitar because it's sampled, etc. Let me detach this for you, right? See, this is the back. You can detach the frame here. Sorry, because I'm operating the camera with the other hand, and then it's not going to be probably ideal. You detach the frame. You can detach the lower frame too, but you are going to need screwdrivers for that. And it is super portable when you're traveling. But the idea is that if you really want to have the classical guitar experience, you need to buy the W model, the wide model, because if you don't buy the wider one, you're going to have a neck that is much more similar to an acoustic guitar. This is the wide model, so the fretboard really feels like the fretboard of a classical guitar. The neck is really the neck of a classical guitar, right? We are going to get into the cleaning and the conditioning of the guitar, changing the strings, and going with a little bit of the history of the guitar. So stay tuned. Well, so for the purists, I'm gonna cut the strings. This is a very much solid piece of wood. Nothing is going to happen to your guitar if you cut the strings. Should you lower the tension of the strings before cutting them? Yeah, probably. But I'm doing this for I don't know how many years. I'm 57 and I'm playing since I was 12, so look at that. And nothing has happened to any of my guitars. Now we are on a restringing with the Dario Pro Arte, which are the strings that I always use. In this one I always use hard tension, because for my finger picking is ideal, right? And we are going to start cleaning, etc, 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 etc. The fretboard is really filthy, which is something you may expect in a guitar that has not been played at all during 2 years and has been hanging on a wall in a very disrespectful manner, I have to say. But now that this place is smaller, then we have neighbors. It's gonna help me practicing, because you can put your headphones on, right, and you practice just for you, and it has built-in effects, reverb, echo, and chorus. You will listen to that later. So it's a fantastic tool to practice by yourself without annoying neighbors, people who live with you at home, etc. I really love this guitar. And during the past 2 years I have not been that active in the, say, morning circuit, because basically the gigs that I was playing with this guitar were those morning brunches at hotels where you're just doing your finger picking, people are having brunch, they're enjoying the sun. Here in Miami, they don't listen to what you play mostly, sorry, but it's okay, you get used to that. And well, sometimes people come and say, hey, very nice, whatever. I mean, you play Sting, Elton John, easy listening with finger picking, so everybody's happy. It's a good setup. It's a very easy to set up guitar in the sense that the PA, the PA takes this guitar really very well, because you have several options you will see later, right? Well, that's the idea, guys. That's the idea. That's the idea. We are going to recover it. I got it in 2010 when I was living in the UK, right? Yeah, 2010, 2011, maybe, yeah. When I was living in the UK. And the reason why I got it, it was precisely that one. In the UK, we were living in Marlow at the Thames, which is a fantastic place, beautiful Victorian city, small city, very close to the office. And the apartment was in the high street, but it was an old building repurposed for apartments. And the apartment was really very small, but very nice, right? The location was fantastic, High Street. Marlow High Street is full of restaurants. Well, I mean, if someone from the UK is listening to this, is watching the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. The apartment was small, so I couldn't really annoy my neighbor downstairs. There was a fantastic person, by the way, right? And I got this guitar in one shop at Denmark Street, okay? 2010, 2011, so it's gonna be 13, 14 years playing this guitar, with the exception, as I said, of the last 2 years. Just give me a break, because I'm gonna take care of this one, which does not wanna get out. Well, strings are out. I'm gonna just take the saddle and put it here, right? You can see the piezo there. By the way, at least in my experience, what I have with all these years playing, what I have seen, what I have experienced is that a lot of the piezo pickups, especially the ones that are striped, right, wear out. I mean, and you need to replace them. These, I replaced it 4 or 5 years ago, right? Because it was losing volume, losing volume, losing volume, losing volume, and now it's okay, right? But guys, I mean, at least that's my experience. These stripes, the ones that are under saddle stripes, wear out. At least this is what happens to me. Now, as the fretboard is really filthy, right, we are gonna give it a pass of Ronsonol, the good old Ronsonol, before we do anything else. So 2010, 2011, I got this one, and I have to say that I couldn't stop playing this guitar. In fact, a lot of my videos, my old videos, are recorded with this guitar. If you are following my channel, you're one of the many, I would say, people who follow this channel from the beginning, you would have seen this guitar in many covers, in many videos. Now, as I said, this is the model with the wider fretboard, which is exactly the same dimensions and the same scale length than a classical guitar. I would say that it's even a little bit wider, right? Like 0.1 inches wider than a pure classical guitar like my Alhambras, right? If you get one of these, that by the way are around, the silent guitars from Yamaha are around since 2001, so it's not something that is new, right? Look, I mean, you can see it is really very much loved and played, and it has a lot of scratches, and you know, an instrument that is loved, played, and lived, I would say, right? It was really filthy, actually. I never treat a guitar with such a disrespect. But, you know, things happen, guys. Just take care of all of this. So, what I was saying is that silent guitars from Yamaha are around from 2001. It's not a new thing, right? In my opinion, fantastic instruments for practicing and also for gigging. But if you are expecting this guitar to sound like a classical guitar, I mean, it is not going to happen. It's a piezo, pure piezo sound, the one you are going to get, right? It's not the sound of a classical nylon string guitar with the overtones and with the kind of characteristic resonance, right? I mean, look at this. It's just a pure piezo sound, the one you're gonna get. Sorry for the earthquake. For the purposes of the type of gigs I was doing with this guitar, it's simply perfect. And for the purposes of practicing your classical pieces without disturbing the people who are living with you or your neighbors, fantastic too. As I said, this is an old model, it's not in production anymore. This is the 130 NW. Now you can get the 200 NW, nylon wide NW, and apparently the electronics are much better, and it's a kind of simulator of a pure classical guitar. I have not had the opportunity to play any of those, though the silent guitar steel strings that I have is already one of those, say, new models, and I have to say that in the case of the acoustic steel strings, works, right? Anyway, now we are gonna clean the frets, and we are always going to use our fret guard, right? And we are going to start with 400. We are going to go with 600, and we are going to end up in 1200, and then we are going to use a little bit of sandpaper with 2000. This is a boring part of the video, so I'm going to simply spare you from that. So after the fret erasers, we have gone with 2000. Look at the name of the sandpaper, Matador, okay? Anyway, the idea is that I never go beyond 2000. Well, I mean, I know that there are people who go 2000, 4000, 10,000, fine. I never go above 2000, and really the frets are super smooth, soft, etc. Now, we are going to give F1 oil, again, Music Nomad, never sponsored. Nobody sponsors my videos. The only thing I show you are the products that work for me. I really like the products from Music Nomad. So we are gonna put a drop of oil. If I can get the container open, because I said in a couple of videos that this new container, I don't like it at all. Anyway, so a drop in each one of the frets. Living in Miami, this is more about having a nice fretboard, clean, etc., than hydrating the thing, right? I mean, kind of, well, I mean, the humidity here is really always very high, but it gives the fretboard a nice appearance first, which appearance is also important. Honestly, I mean, it makes you feel good with your instrument, and also somehow it preserves long-term the fretboard. I prefer to think so, right? And now with the same cloth, we are gonna go and give it a touch here at the so-called bridge, right? Being careful with the piezo. What I said before, honestly, is something that I have experienced in practically all the guitars with a stripe type of pickup under saddle that I have played, and I have played a lot, and I own a lot of them, as you know, with the exception of my Alhambra 5P. My Alhambra 5P is a guitar that I have since 1994, and still the piezo still sounds really, I don't want to say good, because the sound of the piezo is the sound of the piezo, right? It's kind of plasticky always, right? Especially those ones that are already, say, old. But that one has never lost volume. So I don't know how is it done, but kudos to the guys from Alhambra, which is my preferred and only brand of classical guitars that I play and that I have played for years, right? That's the idea. Again, Alhambra has never sponsored any of my videos. What we are going to do now is, with a clean, say, part of the rag, we are going to spray a bit of this guitar detailer on the so-called body of the guitar. For two reasons. First of all, because it will help us cleaning it, and the second is because it smells fantastic, and the third is because I want. And you can use this cleaner in any type of finish, even if it is nitro. We do it with a little bit of caution, but you can perfectly do it, okay? So that's a nice fretboard in comparison with what we were having before. And now let me show you the thing with the electronics of this guitar, right? Okay, so this is the back of the guitar with the battery compartment. One of the complaints, let's say, that people have about the silent guitars that I have seen online and in the comments of some of my videos is that they eat the batteries, literally. Well, listen, you have a 12-volt DC here, right? So you basically get one of those chargers that you can find in Amazon for $6, right? And you plug it here. This guitar was coming with one, but I bought it in the UK, as I'm telling you, and there the electricity is 220. And basically the charger was only for 220. So one in Amazon, let me show you. I mean, it's cheapo, but works perfectly. I have labeled it with a Sharpie here, and simply you plug it. It's a 12 volts. See here, I think it was $6, something like that. So you see the specs there. It's a 12 volts and 1 amp, right? And I plug it there, and that's it. I don't need to use batteries. This is the back. You have an aux here, output, right? And you also have, of course, your jack, right? Your traditional jack output, which is the one I use always. And then here, on top of the frame, you have volume, you have bass, you have treble on off, phones, right? So headphones, right? Okay, which is fantastic because this allows you to practice. It allows you to practice on your own without disturbing anybody. And in this button here, you have the effects, which is off, no effect. Reverb one type of reverb. Reverb 2 is a little bit deeper than the reverb 1. You have chorus and you have echo. And I have to say that they are really very good quality. For the type of gigs I was doing with this guitar in the morning branches, I have never taken with me any pedal board. Directly with, because as I said, I was doing easy listening finger picking for people, with the Reverb 2 and the chorus and the echo, it was really more than enough. And this is everything that this guitar has. The new models have this new system, as I told you, the SRT is the name, right? SRT, right? Which is an improved set of electronics. Let me just zoom back. And basically, the idea is that they have sampled the sound, in this case of a classical guitar, in the case of the steel string guitar of an acoustic guitar, and it sounds much more like a classical or like an acoustic guitar, depending on the model. Everybody who follows my channel knows that I am a heavy Yamaha user. I have several Yamahas. I consider that those are totally underrated guitars, right? But hey, this is just me, okay? Now we are gonna put new strings, and for that purposes, we are gonna reattach the frame because I will get a little bit more of a stability that way. Now, restringing of a classical guitar. There are many ways of skinning a cat, right? There are many different ways of doing this. I'm just trying to connect the USB on the camera in order to charge, okay, the batteries. I have a video, actually, one of my first videos in the channel, how do I restring classical guitars. So I'm not gonna go through the entire ordeal right? Because there are millions of them in YouTube. By the way, some of them are terrible. Just a couple of things that I think are important. You will see that in a lot of classical guitar strings, you will find two different ends on the string. This one that is more, say, springy, and this one which is, let's say, the normal one, okay? I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about, because I cannot see if it is focusing correctly. But this end of the string is more springy. The winding is more separated. Let me just, you see it here, right? It's kind of springy, whilst the other end of the guitar, of the string, sorry, is, say, wounded in a normal way. This part that is more, say, springy, okay, goes on top of the tuning peg. Is the one that goes to the tuning peg. And now what I do is I pass the other end of the string through the hole at the bridge, okay? See? Simple. I do 3 turns. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Like this. Let me just get the saddle. Well, so this is the way it looks like. This is how I do it. And now let me show you the headstock. So you see, let me put the guitar here and then I explain. Sorry, it fell. The control. It's okay, it survived. So why am I showing you the headstock? Because for me the important thing in the headstock is that the strings do not cross over, right? When you basically put them on the tuning pegs and you start tuning them, you have to arrange them in a way that it looks tidy, of course, but also that the strings don't cross over one underneath the other or whatever, right? You see that in many, especially in many cheap classical guitars, on people who are not restringing guitars very frequently, or probably just beginners. The other thing is trimming the strings at the tuning peg when you're done. I never do it. I mean, I'm sure it's better doing that, but I have never done it in my 30-something years of playing. Even after graduating at the Royal School of Music, I was always doing this kind of nice loop here and leave them there. I guess it is a kind of a heritage of times of scarcity, let's say, because if the string breaks at the bridge, you can always get more string here and reuse the string, right? If you prefer to trim them, trim them. I never do it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play it for you so you will listen to the different sounds that this guitar can offer. Again, this is an old model. The new ones are apparently built in much better quality electronics, but this works for me. Well, so as you see, I'm strapping, and it is because of the very narrow frame. You cannot use the guitar support. I could use a footstool, but in this one I prefer to strap. It's really very light. Now you're going to listen to the guitar straight into the Focusrite. There is no helix, no Kemper, nothing between the guitar and the Focusrite. The only thing is that I'm going to be changing the effects in the guitar so you can listen to the different effects that the guitar is built in. This is the reason why this is a fantastic guitar for those type of gigs, right? The ones where when you are doing finger picking, because you can go straight into the PA without no problem at all. Now, first, without any effect. Effects in 0, straight into the Focusrite. Reverb 1 from the guitar to the Focusrite. Reverb 2, which is my preferred setup. Now let's listen to the chorus. And now the echo, which is the last effect. Well, so this is the Yamaha SLG 130 NW that I got in 2010. 14 years. And I'm very happy we're having this kind of reunion after a couple of years of no attention at all and hanging on the wall. Just one thing about tuning your guitar with nylon strings before we go. The nylon strings take much longer to settle and to get you to tuning stability than the steel strings, even if you stretch them. So if you're gonna gig, or you're going to perform, never change your nylon strings the same day of the gig. It will take a couple of days of tuning back and forth until they settle down, even probably more. And the harder tension they are, the longer it's going to take. So normal tension, nylon, take a shorter time for those strings to take you to tuning stability than harder tension. Take this in account, please. See you very soon in my next video, and up to that moment, please play your guitars, have fun, and be good. Bye.